Hi everyone, I'm back again with another useful video. And in this video, we will be discussing about a very beautiful poem. The name of the poem is How the Leaves Came Down by Susan Coolidge. Many of you find this poem a little difficult, so I thought of making a video in order to help you understand it better, and I hope you find this helpful. So, without wasting much time, let's quickly get into the explanation of the poem. So, have you seen any bare trees during winter? Or do you know where the leaves go? Well, the trees definitely do shed leaves during the winter season in order to keep themselves or to protect themselves against the harsh, cold climate. And in order to have more water and energy to themselves. But what's more interesting is that the leaves change colors before they come off the branches. So yes, have you watched green leaves turn yellow first and then gradually brown and then into red? So do you actually feel sad about the leaves falling off? Or what if we, tell you that they go to sleep every winter and again come back fresh in the spring? So what do you feel about this? Okay, so in order to get the in-depth analysis, let's quickly read the poem, How the Leaves Came Down, and see how beautifully a great tree shed its leaves, putting them to sleep. I've screen shared it already, so you can follow me while I'm reading the poem. I'll tell you how the leaves came down. The great tree to his children said, You're getting sleepy, yellow and brown. Yes, very sleepy, little red. It is quite time to go to bed. Ha! Begged each silly, pouting leaf. Let us a little longer stay. Dear Father Tree, behold our grief. 'Tis such a very pleasant day. We do not want to go away. So, for just one more merry day, to the great tree the leaflets clung, frolicked and danced and had their way, upon the autumn breezes swung, whispering all their sports among. Perhaps the great tree will forget. And let us stay until the spring, if we all beg and coax and fret. But the great tree did no such thing. He smiled to hear their whispering. Come, children, all to bed, he cried. And ere the leaves could urge their prayer, he shook his head and far and wide, fluttering and rustling everywhere. Down sped the leaflets through the air. I saw them on the ground they lay, golden and red, a huddled swarm, waiting till one from far away, while bedclothes heaped upon her arm, should come to wrap them safe and warm. The great bare tree looked down and smiled. Good night, dear little leaves, he said. And from below each sleepy child replied, Good night, and murmured, It is so nice to go to bed. What a lovely poem. All nature lovers must really, fall in love with this beautiful poem. So, this poem beautifully narrates the leaves coming off a tree in the fall season, that is during the winter season. There are seven stanzas, okay? There are seven stanzas, each comprising 5 lines in this poem. So the setting of the poem, it actually signifies the beginning of winter, and it is expressed with different or various images, the tree, the leaves, and the changing colors. What is very important here is that the entire poem is being personified. So, what do you mean by personification? Personification is when you are giving human attributes to something. Okay, that is when something is described as if it's a person. That is, it is given human features, human characteristics, human attributes. For example, the trees danced playfully in the rain. The flowers were begging for water. Now, trees here, they are personified as playing, dancing and playing in the rain. But otherwise, trees don't do that. Okay, a human feature is given. Dancing is a human characteristic feature which is again assigned to trees. So, tree is personified here. The flowers were begging for water. Flowers, begging, pleading, asking for water. So, flowers are personified here. So, similarly, this entire poem is being personified. Okay, so the tree here is personified as a father figure, a caring father figure, and the leaves are personified as children. Okay, the care and the emotion the father has, for his children is being portrayed in this poem. Okay, so the tree, the leaves, and the changing colors of the leaves are all personified in the poem. So it basically gives us a vivid, glimpse of the tree leaves at the beginning of the fall or at the beginning of winter. And what's the main idea of the poem? The central purpose of the poem, it actually revolves around the leaves, insisting and persuading or convincing their father, to stay a little longer, with him or to stay a little longer on the tree until spring. Okay, it is autumn and, they want to wait until spring. So they are all convincing, they're all trying to plead, they're all trying to beg and ask, request. So the great tree here is personified as a father and its leaves are personified as children. Now the father tree very politely asks his children to go to bed, like how, usually our fathers do. They ask us, they plead, okay, and then, they pamper us and then they put us to bed. So similarly, the tree here is asking his children, its children. The father here is asking his children, the leaves, to go to bed. He identifies the leaves first turning yellow and then brown and to be getting sleepy, while he kind of infers the leaves that he had turned red to be very sleepy indeed. That's showed or highlighted in the first stanza. So, in other words, if you see, the leaves were actually growing old, okay, or they were getting dried. Okay, so what happens, when the leaves get dried, they change colors. The green leaves turn to yellow and then to brown and then slowly to red. So when they fall off the ground, they are red in color. So here the leaves that were growing yellow and brown were about to wither away, and the red leaves were on the verge of falling off the tree. So the leaves here begged of the tree to allow them to stay for a little longer time. Just like how children plead with their father to let them play a little longer on a very nice warm day, a pleasant day. Similarly, here the leaves insisted the tree to let them stay as it is a very nice, pleasant day. Okay, so if you move on to the next stanza, the leaves got to cling on to the tree for another merry day. So the poet or Susan Coolidge very beautifully personifies the leaves as children playing, or she uses words like frolicking and dancing. Okay, as the autumn breeze blew upon the leaves, she says, they whispered if all of them pleaded, they coaxed and then fretted with the tree. Okay, so it would forget about pressing them to bed and let them stay till the spring. However, the great tree heard what they say, and before they could urge their prayer, before they could go ahead and wish, before they could go ahead and pray, the tree very politely shook its head. Okay, and the moment the tree shook its head, what happens? The leaflets all fell off the tree right through the air. Okay, so you have the golden and the red leaves that, they all piled up, they heaped on the ground just under the great bed tree. The poet says, it seemed like the leaves were huddled together in a swarm on the ground. Okay, they were all piled up together. They were all very close to each other. They were huddled together, like how you huddle in a meeting. Similarly, they were all huddled together on the ground, and they were very close to the tree. It looked like as if they were waiting for someone to come from afar. Like we always wait for our parents, or especially our mothers, to come with those bed clothes or the bed sheets and to cover us up and keep us warm. Similarly, here they were waiting for someone to come with those bed clothes hung around, her arms, especially, in this case, they're definitely looking up. Or here the poet is trying to um, relate this particular scene to all the mothers. Okay, and so the poet here very beautifully says, from afar with impeccable white bed clothes hung around, put them to sleep, just like mothers, put kids to bed, very warm and safe. The great tree that lost all its leaves stood tall. Okay, now that the tree lost all of its leaves, it stood firm, it stood tall, as if it looked down to find its leaves. And it very nicely smiled at them to wish good night. And in return, the leaves seemed to murmur a sweet good night as well, that we see in the last stanza in reply to their great tree. Finally, the leaves, they get to know how good it was to sleep. Actually, that is how, we also feel very sad to, wind the entire day, playing, go back to your childhood days. You had a very nice, fun-filled day, and you're going back to bed and you don't want to go to sleep because you want the day to prolong, and it doesn't happen that way, and your parents forcefully make you to sleep. And then when we go back to sleep, and finally when we are resting, we feel, so comfortable, we feel so calm, serene, and relaxed that we want to continue that. So similarly here, the leaves knew how good it was to sleep, actually, just the way the great tree wanted them to taste this beautiful, what I would say, slumber. Okay, beautiful sleep, beautiful time of rest. Okay, so um, to put it in a gist, this poem, paints an amazing picture of a tree shedding leaves in winter. And as a matter of fact, it is a natural phenomena, right? That helps tree to survive during winter. Like I told you in the beginning, it protects them from this harsh, cold climate, survive during these chilly winters. Young kids who are yet unaware of these various inevitable natural phenomena will actually get an understanding of why leaves are shed during winter. You might learn this in your social, so you all can relate it. So it's always very good to relate your subjects. So, and another important thing is that we should read a lot more poems on nature and cherish the beautiful, cycles of nature, because it is very important, And another thing is learn more about personification. Okay, it is very nice that you can use it as a figure of speech. And here, this is the most important figure of speech that is used in this poem. So this is a very beautiful poem, a very charming one. It stands out as charming and an accessible, depiction or a portrayal of nature cycle, like I told you. So we should read a lot of nature's poem, to help us express our feelings more clearly, our emotions, and at the same time, it also helps us to communicate and connect with nature. So this is it. And so please do, write to me in the comment section below if you have any doubts on this poem. I will definitely help you out with it. And thank you so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for more. Thank you.